Hello, welcome to our program. I'm Joe Barnhart, and this is a Freethought Forum sponsored by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. And I'm Joe Barnhart.
And I'm Jonas Holdeman. We want you to know that if you don't believe in God, you're not alone. Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This is a show for them and for people committed to a life rooted in science and free of supernatural beliefs.
Yes, and if you do believe in God, be with us, because it's a program for all of us to try to have a good, rational discussion. Today's program is Skepticism and Other Virtues.
Okay, but first we want to tell you a little about our sponsors of our show. The Atheist Society of Knoxville frequently has a fun meetup at a bar or eatery. Tonight's meetup is at Barley's in the Old City, starting around 5:30. Look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table. As Matt Dillahunty at Atheist Experience says, everyone is welcome to our happy hour for food, drink, and conversation. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't.
Okay. And the Rationalists of East Tennessee have several regular monthly meetings. First and third Sunday mornings of the month are usually lectures with a lively and interesting discussion round table. The second Sunday is Skeptics Book Club, and it's a discussion. On the fourth Sunday, they're alternating with just a get-together for a reflections meeting, and then potluck, a luncheon at home, or alternate Sundays to play board games and just to have similar fun activities.
Later in the show, we'll give you our websites to visit for additional details, including times and locations. But first, we have In the News. Now I'm going to jump in, and the news is that I want to promote is the several weeks, what we'll be planning for the next several weeks. First, there's a topic on love and forgiveness, humility and science, and religion. Joe tells me there in the Encyclopedia of Religion, there are 100 different definitions of religion. Wow. Then new birth, born again. This is a naturalistic view of religious conversion.
Yeah.
And then deism and panentheism, a naturalistic look at theism.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get with skepticism and see how far we can go. And why would we call skepticism a virtue? Well, I think it's at least an instrumental virtue that serves many other virtues. And most mothers know this.
Yeah, it's the counter to P.T. Barnum's A Sucker is Born Every Minute.
Yeah, exactly. And the mothers want their daughters to marry and their sons to marry wisely. And so just when a guy or a gal says, I love you, that's not enough. Love is a lot more than just words. And so skepticism, we're suggesting, and I think most of our audience knows this, skepticism is simply a part of rational, ordinary thinking.
Yeah, as I was driving in, I was listening to public radio, and they were having a little segment on parents preparing their kids to go to college. And one of the things that was discussed was implied skepticism. Daughter, be careful what these guys are telling you.
In the universities, yes. And actually, skepticism comes about in churches. I learned in church skepticism long before I went to college. In fact, before I went to high school, because my preacher was explaining the difference between the Baptists and the Church of Christ on Acts 2:38 and Acts 16:31. There you have, in other words, you've got there, every religion of that kind has scripture. Whether you're a Muslim or a Mormon or a Christian or a Jewish tradition, you've got your texts. But they all know you have to have human beings interpreting them. And there's where the skepticism, and all skepticism is, I think most people know, is simply caution.
Yeah, I think I've been a skeptic most of my life, but I guess the turning point that really changed my life was when a friend of mine handed me a copy of Robert Ingersoll's The Mistakes of Moses, and I read through that, and I was converted to a biblical skeptic.
Would you agree, you're a scientist, that when you go to a scientific meeting, scientists exercise skeptical criticism of each other's viewpoints?
Yes, I have experienced that personally as I gave presentations.
Yeah, and you go for the meeting for that very purpose, so you can improve. I gave my novel over to a good friend of mine. In fact, I've done this more than once. And he went through and marked up a lot of stuff. And he said, Joe, I don't mean to offend you. And I explained, this is a compliment for two reasons. He took time to read this massive amount of material, and he took the patience and the kindness to show me where he thought it could be improved and where I could eliminate some of it.
Eliminate Joe?
Yes.
When Joe moved to Knoxville, or shortly after I met him, he had his novel on the computer, and the computer he gave it to someone who deleted his novel.
Yeah, they were going to help me.
and I helped him get recover as much as we could, and it was a little thing about like this at the time. And last time I heard Joe talking about this, it was up to over 800 pages.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's one novel, yes. And so, as you can see, I need good criticism. And it is a compliment, because you don't want to be a fool when you publish something, and also you want it to be the best. So skepticism is a service to at least one virtue, namely truth-seeking. If you're trying to get something truthful, then you want really not to put something out that you think is misleading or false. So if someone can catch a flaw, then that's why footnotes are important in academic papers, so that your colleagues can check your footnotes to see if you really understood what you claim you're quoting or referring to.
Yeah, I think in some of my papers, I try to read them from the viewpoint of a person who's not as familiar with the subject, and so I end up being very careful as to what I say and qualifying everything, and end up being rather lengthy. As Joe says, I'm prone to being loquacious. I came back to you there.
You did, didn't you? Well, that means you do listen well.
Well, I've been waiting for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you. I think most of our audience understands exactly what we're saying, and they seek. Because I remember how severe my mother, she had a third-grade education, but she was incredibly smart. And I remember how severe she was about lying. And I understand why, because you cannot have a family that operates with cooperation with the family members lying to each other. And you can't have a community with lying.
Yeah.
And even Aristotle, when he says, practice moderation, I don't think he meant lie in moderation. Because lying simply makes communication impossible. It is miscommunication. So,
well, it makes people skeptical of anything you might say.
Exactly.
It helps to create skeptics.
In fact, I talked to a man recently whom I thought had told me too many lies. And I said, the sad part is I don't know when you're telling me the truth. I don't know, because I don't have the ability to read your mind. And so I just have to say, well, he might be telling me the truth, or he might be lying again. And I said, the other sad part is you don't know who the heck you are. If your word is part of who you are, then if you lie, then your self-identity is in question.
Yeah, I can recall people telling me stories that on one hand, I accepted what they were telling me, but on the other hand, I put a little check mark in the back of my mind that this is unverified, and that can go on for years. The things I'm still waiting for verification.
Well, now we got something in the news article here. I think it's a Newsweek. We'll figure that out later. I think it's Newsweek. But read that. It's about Huckabee, he's a Baptist minister, but also running for office. But I think you'll find this interesting.
So this I guess was something published some time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Back during the elections.
He was running with Mormon.
Okay, it says, Huckabee, an ordained Southern Baptist minister, declined to say whether he agreed with the evangelical Christians who believe Mormonism is a heretical cult. First of all, I don't think it appropriate for me to start evaluating other religions, Huckabee said. And the more I answer these questions, the more people want to say, you describe yourself as a theologian, or, oh, you're the one who is setting yourself up to be judge of religions. I am damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. Then he did. Asked if he thought scriptured revelations from God ended with the Bible when the Bible was completed. Huckabee said, I don't have any evidence or indication that he's handed me a new look at a new book to add to the ones, the 66 that were canonized in 325 AD. It was a careful process that that adopted these books, and that was something I did in college and seminary. The process by which we ended with those books, I don't know that there's any other books.
Okay.
But then I just hear so many people telling me that God told them to do this. So,
okay, what Huckabee is saying here, that he thinks the Bible is divine revelation. But there are Mormons out there who think the Book of Mormon is divine revelation. And Joseph Smith got this revelation on golden plates, which he translated, even though he didn't know the language. But then when you're in that, you can do it. You got miracles going. And then he happened to have buried, the plates got buried. So we don't really have any evidence. This is what Huckabee, who's a Baptist, being skeptical of the Mormon claim that this is a divine revelation. And I'm skeptical they ever got the golden plates in the first place.
As P.T. Barnum would say.
Well, and what I'm saying, and I think you're saying too, is skepticism is simply not lack of, quote, faith or trust. The word faith is not a magical word, it just means trust. But you don't give your trust blindly. So if a guy claims he's got golden plates, or that he went up on a mountain somewhere and God spoke to him, that's his claim. But how do we know this? He got plate, and he got stone, and God carved the words into it. Now, how do we know that? See, I mean, that's what he claims, you see. So, what we're suggesting is that a Mormon is claiming one thing, and then there's another religion that we have mentioned on this program, and the Islamic faith. There you have Muhammad claiming centuries after Christianity, about 5-6 centuries afterwards, to have received the Koran from heaven. And it came through an agent to Muhammad. and then Muhammad passed it on to the rest of the world at that time. Now, most Christians today, and most Jews do not, and most Mormons do not take this to be divine revelation. So what we're suggesting is that every believers in religions have an enormous amount of skepticism regarding other people's religions, and that's understandable.
Oh, but they do borrow themes and principles from them, but don't accept the divine origin.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, what's funny, to me it's funny, is there is a claim among some of the Buddhist and the Hindu tradition that Jesus, as a young man, very young man, even though he was poor in Nazareth, I mean really dirt poor,
Yeah.
I would say in East City, dirt poor. Somehow he gathered up enough money, took a boat, went all the way to India, and studied among the Buddhists and the Hindus and learned all of their, good principles of ethics. And then he got enough money to sail back. And then the teachings of Jesus are mostly what he got. Now, I don't think there's any real evidence for this. I'm very skeptical. What I think is a better conjecture is those Buddhists and Hindus were tired of the Christian missionaries going over there preaching to them, so they concocted another story.
Well, I think there was probably more interchange of ideas among the different cultures of the time. In fact, not just then, but through a large part of history, and travelers would come back with ideas, and it's kind of like if you've never seen an arch, and so you don't know how to build one. But all you have to do, or a pyramid for that matter, all you have to do is have someone come and describe it, and once you get the idea, then you can put it together.
Have we got a caller?
But we have a caller, and
Let's see what we got here. Other one.
Oh, so hello, caller. Would you please give us your name or nickname, please?
My name's Al.
Al, go ahead, Brother Al. Let's hear it.
Yeah, the guy in a blue suit.
That's me. Okay, go ahead.
You seem to know more than anybody else.
We're going to talk on humility later, so don't embarrass me. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to answer your questions about all this thing about all these different religions. Were all started by men. Every one of them. Every religion was started by a man.
Okay, go ahead.
The only one that wasn't is Christianity. It was started by God.
Okay.
Now, you prove me wrong.
Okay.
Well, why don't you do it the other way around? Try to prove your view.
My view, it's not my view, it's the truth.
Why don't you prove it?
Jesus Christ is the one. He is God. He died for our sins. And the 66 books of the Bible, the King James Bible, is the Word of God, from God to man.
Okay,
and there's no other religion that can claim that.
But how do we know that, Al?
Okay, Al, here's a question now. Are you?
Because it comes from him.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you say Jesus, first of all, your view of God is omniscient, right?
Well, you know that.
Okay, are you with me?
You know that. You went to school.
Okay, now the second question, you're saying that Jesus is omniscient too on earth, right?
Yes.
Okay, now when he was 2 years of age, was he omniscient?
Yes.
When he was 1 month old, was he omniscient?
Yes, he was always omniscient. He was always God.
So when he spoke at the age of 1 month, he could speak Hebrew?
No, he couldn't.
What could he speak?
Probably baby language, I don't know.
But he could think like a man or a woman?
nobody had the ability to do it. He set that aside in order to grow up as a human being, so that he, as a human man and perfect God, would be the only one that could atone for man's sins.
So at what age and at what time in the afternoon did he become omniscient? So he knew everything.
And at what age and at what time did you say your first word?
Well, I wasn't omniscient at the time, so I don't know.
Well, God knows when it happened. I don't. It's not written in Scripture. Okay.
Okay. Let me ask you this: are you saying to me, at one time, he knew everything?
No, not one time. He's always known everything from eternity past to eternity future.
Even when he was 1 month old?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now we know where we differ.
Well, how can we differ?
Could Jesus speak Japanese when he was 1 month old?
And Jesus could turn you into a turtle right this minute.
Well, right now, just have to ask a simple question. Well,
all right.
I'm not yet a turtle, okay? You might think I'm a turtle head, but I'm not a turtle. Okay.
That's your fault.
Okay, go ahead. Now, on Jesus, when he was about 1 month old, you're saying that he could predict that Peter would deny him. When Jesus was 1 month old, he already
knew it. Yeah.
At the age, and he could tell Peter. Had Peter been there, he could have told him.
He was omniscient.
Let me ask you my question straight off and give me a yes or no.
That's omniscience.
Can you answer a yes or no question? It's called truthfulness.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay. When Jesus was 1 month old, if Peter or someone was there and had asked him, is Peter going to deny Jesus, could Jesus have, at the 1 month of age, had said yes or no?
No.
He could not have?
No.
That means he's limited?
No. As a man, he was limited. That's why he cried. That's why he ate like a man. That's why he slept like a man.
Okay. Now,
he was also fully 100% God.
When I was in seminary, we had a big discussion, some of us in the student union. Could Jesus have jumped across the Jordan River? Now, we were from Tennessee at that time, most of us, and we thought the Jordan River was as big as the Tennessee River.
Oh, it's very small.
But it's very small.
But overflows.
But you see the point we're getting. Could Jesus...
No, it's called a hypostatic union. You ever heard of that?
Sure.
You know what the hypostatic union is? It only fits one person in history.
So my question is with a hypothetical union.
Hypostatic union.
I know, I'm calling it hypothetical because it is hypothetical. You're calling it hypostatic, okay?
Hypostatic union fits only one person in history.
My question is, could this one person in history, could he have jumped across the Jordan River when he was standing there if he had wanted to?
Or could he put a million angels on the head of a pin? You're just playing games with me.
No, I'm trying to get you to face the truth, and you're kind of calling it a game because it's...
I'm trying to get you to understand that Jesus is God.
I knew it before you were born. I knew your theory, so don't try to bluff me on this. Get right with me now.
All right.
Okay, now, my question is still, do you take Jesus' humanity serious or not? It was
I do.
Okay.
He ate, he slept like a man, he was weak.
Can human beings jump across the Tennessee River, let's say?
Yeah.
That was a question.
Oh, no.
Okay, was Jesus human?
Yes.
Could a human, Jesus...
100% human.
Is he able...
That's why it was virgin born.
So the question is, could this 100% human being have jumped across the Tennessee River?
If he wanted to.
If he was a human being.
If he wanted to prove something to you.
Okay. In comic books, you have Superman doing that, but Superman.
Yeah, well, Superman is not God.
Well, I'm agreeing with you. And I'm saying the same about Jesus.
Well, 66 books of the Bible explain all about it.
Well,
Genesis to Revelation, every word is the Word of God
now
in the King James Bible.
Okay, now you're skeptical regarding the Book of Mormon, right?
Well, sure.
And you're skeptical about the
Yeah, Joe Smith.
Right.
Okay, and you're skeptical about the
Jehovah's Witnesses.
And the Koran.
And the Koran.
Okay, and I'm skeptical.
All the cults, because they all started, every religion was started by a man or a woman.
So you and I are very close. The very difference between us is I think what you call your religion is started by men.
No, my religion was started by God.
Okay, now we know where we differ. Okay.
Every other religion on earth was started by a human.
Okay, now you've helped people to understand where you're coming from. You got another point you want to make?
And the reason why is because they make their own rules. They have their own books.
Okay, go ahead.
They even put the Bible with their books, like the Mormons do.
Okay.
But you got to have the Book of Mormon to understand the Bible.
Now, what's your next point?
I'm just trying to prove to you that there's only two kinds in the whole world.
Okay.
There's one that's God-made.
Second point is what? You gave
It's man-made.
Okay.
And what you believe in, if you believe anything at all, what you don't, but you like to fight, something you don't believe in, which don't make any sense to me at all, which tells me how much IQ you have.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
You sound like a man who wants to fight.
I like to fight. I'm a Marine.
And whenever you can't give an argument, you say another guy doesn't have an IQ. That means you're kind of having a hard time of it, Al.
No, I'm not.
Oh, I think
I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time with somebody who was stupid enough to try to trick me into saying things I'm not going to say.
Okay, I can see you ran out of arguments, Brother Al, so we're going to have to move on.
Yeah, Al, good to hear from you. I guess it's been a couple of months since we've heard from you, and I was beginning to wonder if you were okay.
Brother Al, you do believe in forgiveness.
You remember that? You definitely believe in
Okay, now you and I both can practice forgiveness, and we got to sign off. We got to go on with the program.
Oh.
But you and I both will practice forgiveness of each other.
Don't forget, you mentioned the new birth. I want to talk to you about that.
Well, it's your program, and we're going to talk on it.
Okay.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, Al.
Okay. That helps us to see how strongly people believe, and that's understandable. We're all human. The Mormons believe strongly in their view because they think it's God's word. And the Muslims will kill you for it. And over in Saudi Arabia, you cannot. Now, fortunately, in America, Al and I can talk and disagree and have respect for each other, and we can learn from each other. But in a place like Saudi Arabia, this kind of open discussion is not possible. They just, if Al and I both were living in Saudi Arabia, we wouldn't be living very long.
Yeah.
And so, Al, I'm glad we're both alive in this country.
Well, on the other hand, Al is one of the people of the book, and I'm not.
Okay, well, we're skeptical. Just as he's skeptical of these others, we're skeptical of what he claims. Now, this doesn't mean that I could not learn much from the Bible, just as I could learn from other pieces of literature, even though I don't take them to be the infallible, inerrant Word of God. That doesn't mean that human beings who wrote them are fools. They simply are human, and all human beings are fallible, including you and me. And that's what Al was trying to say. We're fallible. And we agree with him, of course, on that. Sure, we're fallible. But the point is that skepticism is a part of being a rational, humble human being. You can't be humble without having some modesty about our claims. Go ahead.
Okay, we seem to have another call.
Hey, we got another caller. Got another caller. Go ahead. Press it. Press it.
Yeah. Hello?
Oh, yes, go. Speak up, please. Good.
Oh. I was just talking about growing up religious and how they constantly worked on kids when they were about 12 years old and scared them to death. And this guy that just called on there, that Al guy, people like that are beyond belief. I can't believe people like that. I think religion's the root of all evil. Actually, I think it's the root of all evil. If you had two islands that you had to go be on, one was your so-called sinners and one was your so-called religious, you would be safer on your so-called sinners one, because the religious people will kill you in the name of God.
I'm going to have to differ with you on something. Are you with me?
Yeah.
I think you could make a hard case saying that religion is the root of all evil. Are you saying, let me ask you.
I'm sorry.
Are you saying if we had no religion at all, there'd be no human evil on earth?
Oh, no, but I think it's the root of major wars,
Well, you're backing off a little bit.
That's okay. I said,
okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I said the root of all evil. I think the root of major evil, major evil.
Okay, I think you can say this. Human beings, given our nature, are prone to do an enormous amount of good and an enormous amount of evil. And some of the religions are involved in human beings' lives, and so religion gets mixed up with both good and evil. Does that make sense?
Well, I do.
Is there any good in the New Testament?
Well, I don't believe nothing about the Bible. It's just ancient history.
Wait a minute. That's not my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A good, straightforward answer. Is there any good statements in the New Testament?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, that's all we're trying to say. There is good and evil in human beings, and so religions tend to show this because they're by human beings. And some of the gods that they project are just like them, just like you and me. If you read parts of the Old Testament, for example, this God is incredibly good. He's also incredibly mean and vicious, because they're just like my species and your species. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
But go ahead.
Yeah, well, you go ahead. You're more interesting.
We forgot to ask you your name. How can we refer to you?
Louise.
Louise. Okay.
So I had an aunt, Louise. She was a wonderful aunt.
Well,
I grew up in a hardcore Baptist church. And when I got about 18 years old, I thought there's something fishy here, because I thought everybody believed like that.
Okay. Now, I grew up in a Baptist church, or several Baptist churches. My experience is somewhat like yours, but I've met incredible goodness in the Baptist churches, and I met incredible silliness. But I meet that outside the churches also. Matter of fact, I talked to a woman in town here on the phone at least once a week who's 95. I've mentioned this one, and she's my former Sunday school teacher, an incredibly good woman who taught me in the Fifth Avenue Baptist Church. A good woman. Now, I can't say that all of religion is evil. That's a mistake. I think some parts of religions are terribly wicked, but also the golden rule is part of many religions, and it's incredible goodness. And I wish we could all practice it even more.
Well, the thing I always wondered was how they would preach to you constantly about you know, what God was going to send you to hell forever. And I thought, well, I would make a better God than that. I wouldn't do that to nobody.
Well, I agree with you. In fact, they are projecting, in my opinion, see what you think. They're projecting their own hostility onto their God and making him, they're projecting onto their God their own worst aspects.
That's what I always wondered, you know, when I was growing up, them preaching and screaming and red-faced and spitting and going on and scaring us to death, you know, and like, you know, do you want to go out here tonight and a chance dying and burning in hell forever? Well, not really. Okay, tell us what to do.
Let me make a case for this poor guy, okay? If he believed that himself, are you with me?
Yeah.
From his point of view, he might have thought he was doing you a good service. You understand what I'm saying? From his point of view.
He firmly believed that.
Yeah,
I do
okay.
believe it.
Okay, you see, so you could say the man at heart was better, far better than his theology.
Yes, I think he was a good person.
In fact, I've met many fundamentalist preachers that I thought were better, far better, than some of the wicked preaching that they produced.
Oh yeah, you know, I think a lot of people like, well, you remember those paid-for preachers on TV that took their downfall. You know, so many of it was just about money.
Well, now, okay. A lot of these preachers, I don't get into the position to think that all these preachers are just about money. If they're on television, they have to have a lot of money just to be on television. You'll agree.
Well, I was talking about the ones who were took down. You know, the Tammy Faye's and you know Bakers and the other one that used to cry on TV that got brought down.
Okay.
I can't think of his name right now.
Well, I know the one down in New Orleans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Swaggart, Jim Swaggart. Yeah.
Yeah, and he got brought down.
I wrote a book on Jim and Tammy. I think it's just called Jim and Tammy, Charismatic Intrigue Inside PTL. That was many years ago. Got reviewed in some New York Times or something, I can't remember. Also, I wrote a book called The Southern Baptist Holy War, on Southern Baptists and their split. But
yeah.
What I'm trying to argue in these books, if I take Jim and Tammy, I really don't think they were just out to earn a lot of money for themselves, okay? I think they were trying to do good, and they were also trying to do good for their own pocketbooks, I would agree, okay?
Well, I'm quite sure of that.
Well, but see, what I'm trying to say is people are a lot more complicated. I don't want to get to one extreme or the other.
Well, I know what you mean, but
okay.
They're probably better than some of the people, you know.
Yeah, some of these guys are scalawags. I will agree.
Well, yeah.
But some I think are just they're decent people. They simply have views that I don't agree with, I guess. And
well, the thing is that some of them, and that are good, they believe it so well that, you know, and those are the ones who are really good. They believe what they say.
Yeah,
you know,
I got you.
I think it's bad to put children into a position where they're preached to all the time growing up, and they become hypnotized and brainwashed.
Well, I agree with that now.
Then they can't think. They can't think straight for themselves.
Well, I think I was lucky. I had a woman in my neighborhood who was a Baptist Sunday school teacher, but she taught me skepticism real early. Now, this is a Baptist Sunday school teacher. Mm-hmm. And she said this notion of the devil, now she didn't put it quite this way, but this is exactly what she meant. It's nonsense. The devil is you. In other words, you make bad decisions and you're responsible for your choices, and don't go passing the buck over to some supernatural being.
Right.
And
Right.
In other words, she taught a lot of skepticism. And on the second coming theory, she simply said, "This all talk." Where is it? We've been talking this way, she said, for hundreds of years.
Right.
And it's still going to be talking. I had
Yeah.
I don't know about you. You know where Newport, Tennessee is?
Yes, I live in Sevierville.
Okay, you know exactly where I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
I had a dear uncle who took me fishing, and I loved him dearly. But he talked about the second coming all the time and thought Mussolini was going to be the Antichrist. Now, we've had all kinds of people who thought, in fact, I'm old enough to remember some people thought Franklin Roosevelt.
Yeah, well, I heard people thought George W. was.
Uh-huh. So maybe the whole notion, see what I'm suggesting, the whole notion of an Antichrist was invented long ago to smear somebody else you don't like.
Well, there are people who really thought Hitler probably was.
Exactly. And Joseph Stalin is another. Yeah, Hitler, I remember.
Yeah, so.
Well, you've been very helpful to us.
Well, I enjoy picking up on your program. I'm 65. I live alone, and I don't hardly see too many people. Not too many people come by.
Well, I'm glad to talk to someone younger than I am.
Well, you wear it well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, it's nice talking to you. I hope to catch your program again.
Please do.
Okay, thank you for calling, Louise, and I hope you call again. Bye now.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you very much.
Oh, I think it's time for our mid-program break. What do you think, Joe?
I think you're right. Go ahead.
In
case you're just, let's see, am I on? In case you're just tuning in, this is Freethought Forum, sponsored by the Rationalists of East Tennessee and the Atheist Society of Knoxville. Freethought Forum is funded jointly by these groups and by individual contributors. Shows are lively Tuesday 5 to 6 Eastern. And you can get access, depending on your cable network. What is it? Channel 12? Tell your out-of-town friends to see us on ctvknox.org.
This is a call-in show, and we're live today. Viewers can call in now or in a few minutes to the number on the screen with short comment or question. Call in while we go to an informative break. Sam?
If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else, well, you're not alone. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria for happy hour. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. On Fridays, we meet at Agave Azul or the Beard and Beer Market. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun. Do you find stories of talking snakes laughable? Do you prefer the scientific method over supernatural beliefs? Are you concerned about religious leaders and organizations imposing their values and rules on your body, your family, and the rest of our society? Well, take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. The Rationalists of East Tennessee meets weekly for fellowship and provides a forum for people who support skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org.
Okay. The Atheist Society of Knoxville, or ASK, meets 2 times a week. We have evening meetups for fun, drink, and conversation. ASK's purpose is to supply a venue for the community camaraderie and outreach to atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, and other like-minded persons in the East Tennessee area, and including those who would like to participate in discussion. The Tuesday meeting is going on now at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in the Knoxville Old City.
Okay, and the Rashless of East Tennessee has Sunday activities involving lively presentations and discussions on subjects and topics of vital interest. Once a month we get together for a book club. You don't have to read the book. It would be helpful, but you don't have to read the book because it's open for good discussion. So if you don't have time to read it, just come anyhow and be there. The book of March is, or not March, but the next one of the books is going to be The Righteous Mind. Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion by Jonathan H.I.D. T. It's okay. And visit rationalist.org to find the rest of the calendar of the books.
Oh, I've got to update this script, Joe. Okay, both the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee help provide a social outlet where you'll find that if you don't believe in God, you're not alone.
And if you do believe, you shouldn't be alone. Okay.
Okay. Well, Joe, where are we headed now?
Okay, let's get back. We got a caller. Okay, let's.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Please go ahead.
Caller, would you please give us a name or nickname, please?
Yeah, caller's just fine.
Okay, hang on.
To Louise there, I thought she was just a really refreshing.
Yeah, refreshing. Go ahead.
And actually, the thing I was wanting to say was, I think that what she had to say was being minimized quite a bit. Now, I understand that you agreed with her about teaching children superstitious ideas because they get so hardwired at that age that they become like some people that may call into this show, maybe just recently, who have no other concept of skepticism or even critical thinking about what they believe, but they're right and everybody else is wrong.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Do you think you're right in your views?
Do I think I'm right in what?
In what you're saying.
Do I think I'm correct in what I'm saying? Yes, I do.
If I disagree with you, do you think I'm wrong?
Well, I guess from my point of view, you would be wrong, yes.
Yeah, well, sure. Okay. So just because a fundamentalist is that way, it doesn't mean that they're bad. You see my point?
Well, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if Louise is also not correct, and it appears to be the root of. And she said all evil. You made her back off on that a little bit.
Okay.
But just recently, I've realized that it is the monotheistic religions that claim they speak to God who do the most evil. It's as if they have God's power and therefore, like God in the Bible, who can do nothing wrong no matter how high the bodies are stacked.
Okay.
Then they go and act like God. For example, the ISIS. For
Did you understand him to say, if you believe in God, you're more likely to do more evil? Did you understand?
No, I'm saying if you believe that you have the one true God, for example, the pagans, they had a lot of gods, and they may have killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
But they did not kill people because their God told them to. And I believe that's the main problem that a lot of skeptics or atheists have with Christianity and the other religions, is that if they've got God behind them, they can't do anything wrong.
Well, I think this saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think that many of our examples of evil are the result of people gaining too much power beyond their wisdom and ability to handle it.
Would you agree that some of those who had it were atheists, had this kind of power?
Would I believe that kind of thought? Maybe so, but not quite as often. I might think of the Khmer Rouge or maybe Stalin as far as something like that goes. But when you have the justification that God is going to approve of anything you do because you believe in him, and because no matter what you do, no matter how many people you behead or inquisition to death, you're going to go to heaven. That's dangerous.
See, what is dangerous, too, is misrepresenting other people's viewpoints.
I agree. And that is why my litmus test, if you wish, or if you would, is to ask someone, if you knew God was speaking to you, you had no doubt in your mind that it was God talking right straight to you, would you kill a child, a baby? And I've had several people say, yes.
Okay.
God said it. Now, this is the danger. And you do not see that with people that are practicing any sort of skepticism. A lot of people will say, oh, no, they'll back off on it. They'll say, if the voice is telling me to kill someone, then it's not God.
How many people have you known? I want a straight answer on this now, because I need clear. How many people have you known and talked to who say God directly talked to them?
I've known several people.
Okay.
I have known, actually, I would say dozens of people who have told me that God spoke to them.
Okay, that's not too many.
Well,
okay, my question is, most Christians I know don't believe God talks to them directly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What kind of language?
The ones that several that I don't know personally are on TV, and they say, "Well, God told me to run for president of the United States."
Okay. Well, see what I'm getting at. TV preachers aren't a good sample of Christians. Okay.
Well,
okay.
I don't know. You know, I don't know what's good Christians and what's bad Christians, but I know about people getting killed because of it. Okay. And I know about people being very intolerant of other people because they've got God on their side. And I believe that's what Louise was trying to say when she said it's the root of all evil. If you think that God is on your side, backing everything you do, then...
She modified her view, though.
Yeah, I think
she did, but you bullied her just a little bit.
I think she's a much more rational person than she was projecting. Many people exaggerate.
There's a backhanded compliment.
Exaggerate a case.
Let me ask you a question. Are you saying, and I want a good, clear answer, and I don't think as a grown man I'm bullying you. Are you with me?
No, you're not. You're not.
Do you feel bullied?
I don't feel bullied. Okay. Y'all are so nice, sweet.
So let's get with it. Okay. Now, my question is, are you saying that more people who are not Christians are better than people who are Christians?
Are better.
Better human beings.
Well, a better human being. I don't even know if I know what a better human being is, but I think I would know what people can act irrationally because of an institutional idea. Now, I wish I could say yes or no to that, Joe, but better human being, I don't know.
Well, we were using moral language. You know, you were the one using moral language. You shifted to the word rational, but I'm using moral language. But if you want, okay, if you want to shift, that's okay. But I'm going to pin you down on this. I think it's being fair. You were getting the impression that, but maybe I misread you, so I'll back off. I thought you were implying that people who believed in God were more immoral or more prone toward violence than those who were not believers in God.
Well, I would have to say you think you probably got me nailed in there, because you're right, because I do think that probably people that believe that they believe in the one true God are probably, or in my opinion, a little bit less on the moral side, because as far as I'm concerned, the Bible is not that moral of a book.
How about this? The Bible is a book with incredible morality and incredible immorality.
Yes.
And it depends on the individuals as to what they pick and choose from it.
Well, yeah, it does. But when you're looking at justification to attack some country and behead a bunch of people, having God on your side is a pretty good justification for that.
Yeah, I think many people, most people perhaps, have a certain moral compass built in, and it's difficult. It's
Jonas,
difficult
do you
to
think that the moral compass can be skewed because of an upbringing about babies being killed because it was God's will in the Bible?
No, I'm saying that this moral compass provides constraints on the things that we can do. And to override that, you have to have some real reason to do that. And I think that's when it's when people appeal to other outside authority as a way of overriding this moral compass that we can really get into problems.
The people that are doing the suicide bombings and all of that, they've had their moral compass overridden. And the reason for that is because they've been trained from a young age. Now, that technique is not that different from what we're seeing in Baptist, excuse me, I didn't mean to say that, in religionist type situations where they're teaching children in Sunday school some very horrific ideas.
For example?
For example, that the sign that Jesus had been born was that the people in whatever city it was would be moaning or crying because of the babies that Herod killed. The slaughter of the innocents, if you will. This was one of the prophecies to herald the great...
That's in the Gospel of Luke.
Yes, it is.
It is not approved of in the Gospel of Luke. It's condemned.
Well, it may be condemned. See, that's the thing. You can condemn on one hand, but you can approve of it on the other. At the same time, it was prophecy that was going to happen. So, in effect, what you had was, all these babies are being killed. Thank God, Jesus has just been born.
Suppose I can predict that some evil is going to happen. Okay? Are you with me?
Yes.
Suppose I know enough, I can make it. Now, I don't know that much, but that's
right. Let me answer it. If you're omniscient and omnipotent, then you're a bad person.
Why don't you let me ask the question and then answer it? It works better that way.
I'm sorry.
I'm not omniscient.
Okay, but you know about something bad's going to happen.
Are you going to let me ask a question?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have enough facts. This is a finite mortal. I have enough facts, so I think I can make a pretty good prediction. That is a fairly accurate prediction that some real harm and horror is going to happen.
Yes.
Does that mean that I want it to happen?
Well, as a human being, no.
Okay. Now, what I'm suggesting...
You would be George Bush.
Just be straight on the topic.
Okay.
Okay. It won't hurt to be specific. What I'm suggesting is just because someone predicts something doesn't mean that they wanted it. Listen, unfortunately,
we're running out of time here.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Call us the next time.
Kudos to Louise.
Okay.
And I want to thank
Louise
for calling us in and helping us out too, and Al too. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's time to start wrapping up. If you want to contact us before our next show, get out your pen and paper and write down our contact information. This has been Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I am Jonas Holdeman.
Send us feedback. Leave voicemail at 865-272-9060 or email at freethoughtforum@yahoo.com.
You see us on this show on Tuesdays 5 to 6 p.m. And streaming live to the world at ctvknox.com.